Welcome to the Community Table, where we explore the secrets to success of the top real estate producers in our local market. A real conversation, hosted by Community Mortgage.
Okay, welcome. I'm Brad Lloyd with Community Mortgage. Welcome to another episode of Community Table. And today, my very special guest, Karen Taylor with Green Realtors. Karen, thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Why don't we start with you talking about how you kind of got in the real estate business, how long you've been doing it?
Well, it's kind of interesting. About 20 years ago, I had 8 greenhouses, 2 retail nurseries, wholesale, and the Lord blessed me with a baby late in life, and I did not want to raise him in that environment. Wow. So I called a realtor. She came and told me that she could not sell my property. She wouldn't even take the listing, said it would never sell. 2 weeks later, I sold it. And I was like, okay, now I'm out of a job and I have a newborn. Maybe I need to go in real estate. So that's what I did. And I've been in it 19 years now.
Yeah.
And time flies when you're having fun.
Are you with John Green the whole time?
No, I was with Coldwell Banker in Tupelo for 14 years.
Yeah.
I've been with John Green right at 6 years now.
You know, John Green's been around for a while, haven't they?
A long time. We've got over 50 agents now, so it's a growing brokerage for sure.
Great. Is John himself still involved?
John is kind of on the back burner right now. He's doing his little thing, but his sons took over. Yeah. Alan and Michael, and they are phenomenal. They are good Christian-based people, and they're amazing to work with. Absolutely.
Good deal. Now, when you, we're going to talk for a second first about working with buyers.
Okay.
Do you work primarily with first-time home buyers, repeat buyers, investors? Kind of what's your percentage and scope of that kind of business?
Well, I've been in the business for 19 years. Mm-hmm. So I have my fingers and toes in a little bit of all of it.
Right.
I am primarily a listing agent, but with that comes buyers. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of first-time home buyers, repeat clients, investors, and land. I do a lot of land sales as well. Yeah. Probably my favorite, though, are the first-time home buyers or the young couple. There's nothing like putting a young family in a home. When you see the kids running to pick their rooms out and they get so excited, it's very rewarding.
I always say one of my favorite things about mortgage lending is turning a renter into a buyer.
Absolutely.
That conversion is just beautiful, isn't it?
It is a beautiful transaction. It
really is.
Because it's not just the sale, it's not just your job. You're putting a family in a home. Right. And when it's their first home, it's unforgettable. It's very special.
Yeah, and if you're like me, I like each of my transactions to be more relational than transactional. So because that first-time home buyer is going to be moving up in a few years, and so
my joke is you come in as a client, but you leave as my friend, or you never leave. I just keep most of my clients because, I mean, when you're talking to someone 30 to 45 days straight, you build a rapport, you build a relationship.
Absolutely.
And you're helping them accomplish their biggest dream ever. And so,
Now, when someone reaches out to you and says, hey, Karen, we're thinking about buying a house, do you encourage them to get pre-approved?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How important is that?
It's vital.
Yeah.
It's vital. You know, I've gotten in the business 6 months before the market crashed.
Right.
And so when that happened, that's, I think, when we saw the biggest change. But I don't want to waste their time or my time or the seller's time getting the home ready for us. But the biggest thing is if they're not, and they're shopping for a home and they find the home and they fall in love with it, but they find out they can't buy it, how disappointing that is. It's already an emotional roller coaster, so let's just take that step out.
It's hard.
And they need to know what their buying power is. And so when we find the home, then we're outshining because we have our ducks in a row. Right. You know, worst thing especially during the 2020 and 21, I call the unicorn years, if you didn't have everything together, you lost out. You had to have your stuff together. You had to be pre-approved and prove that you could buy the home.
Do you, as a realtor, do you have a preference? Do you prefer to work with a local lender, or if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, we got pre-approved by some company in California," are you okay with that? Kind of, how do you feel about that?
Well, I like the local.
Right.
I like when there's a problem, pick up the phone and call the underwriters or whoever we need to talk to resolve whatever's going on because it's an emotional situation. There's a lot of moving parts, and I'm more of a hands-on person anyway. So I like local. preferably. And when, just for buyers, when you are and I've seen this happen more times than you can imagine, when you're in multiple offers and a seller is looking at the offers, they're going to take a local.
That's a good point.
They're going to take
Excellent
a local
point.
lender
Right.
over
Right.
somebody they don't know 100 times.
And probably the same thing applies if you have a listing with multiple offers that are brought to you. If you
Absolutely.
recognize a lender, you may be more
Absolutely.
willing to lean towards
Absolutely.
that lender. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a good point.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. So in working with an investor, let's say, do they primarily, do you send them listings knowing what boxes they won't check? Do you send them, or do they reach out to you, or is it some of both, or how does that work?
It's both. They reach out to me daily.
Right, right.
But I know their lane, and when I have a property that's going to fit in their lane, I've got a client that for whatever situation needs to move the home quickly. They don't
Right.
want to do repairs, selling it as is, just needs to get out. That's what I'm going to call the investors, because that's what they're looking for.
Yeah,
And each
yeah.
investor, I have them categorized in their caps. You know,
Right.
they have. I'll go up to 350. I'll go up to 500. Whatever their
Right.
cap is, then I start reaching out to them.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
something needs a little work where they can come in and do a little renovation and then put it back on the market, make some money. That's their niche.
Now, are your investors per se looking to keep that house and rent it out long term, or are they flipping them, or kind of both?
It's
or?
probably 50-50.
Yeah, yeah,
and that
yeah.
changes with the market.
Yeah, yeah. I get
Depending
it. Yeah.
on what the market's doing. Right now, I see more people buying and flipping. During the unicorn, the 2021, they were buying and renting, waiting for the market to come back up higher,
Right.
and then turn around and sell it. So
Right,
it just
right.
depends on what the market's doing.
Right, right. So, and then the last category of the buyers we talked about is obviously the repeat buyers, and I'm also put referrals in
Yeah.
that category. So, is a big part of your business that where
Is
you've
the-
worked with someone before and they recommend you, or 5 years down the road they say, "Hey, Karen, we're ready to move up."
It's the foundation of my
Yes,
business.
absolutely, it is.
And I've told you before, the biggest compliment you can get is to be referred to someone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a beautiful thing, I guess, because I've been in the business so long
Right,
now.
right.
I'm seeing my past clients refer their children to me to sell them a house, and then
right.
they're downsizing, so I get to sell their house for them.
That's great,
And then sell
yeah.
them a house. So it's a beautiful thing that unfolds. So yes, the repeat and the
That's,
referrals. That's yeah.
You know, when you mentioned that, I just thought about that. I have one right now where I
Yeah.
did mom and dad back, I think, in 21, and now I'm doing daughter and son-in-law. So,
It is amazing.
and that's a compliment in itself.
biggest compliment.
Absolutely. So, okay, I'm going to switch to the listing side for a
Okay.
second. If you have a house that you have listed, getting a lot of showings, but not maybe had any offers yet, have you got a strategy there? And talk about that for a second, what you might do under
You
those
sweat
conditions.
a little bit,
Right.
and then you just have to go back and reevaluate
Right.
because if the home is being shown and that's what you want,
Right.
the market is speaking.
Right, right.
They're not bringing you an offer. The market is speaking. So you have to go back and relook at the numbers, and then most likely you have to find out, is it the numbers the problem,
Right.
or is something wrong with the home?
Right.
You know, are there some repairs needed we've overlooked? So you just have to go back and look at that. As long as the advertisement's out there and the house, is standing on its own and it looks good and all the repairs have been
Right.
done and it's what I call ready for open market.
Right.
The only other thing is reducing the price, in my opinion.
And I'm sure at the listing appointment, on the initial meeting with the seller, you may or may not know them, that you've done your homework and you know about what the price point is. And regardless of what a lot of people think, sometimes it does come down to price and sometimes it doesn't. It could be conditioned. It could be a combination of both.
That's
and so I guess there comes a point in time when you talk to your seller and say, hey, we gotta reevaluate this. And
I call it a come to Jesus meeting.
right.
We have them every now and then.
Right.
Because as you know, the deal is my job is to bring you what I think the property is worth.
Right.
And a lot of times the seller's motivation drives the price.
Right.
Even though I tell them one thing,
Right.
their motivation may not be there to sell it. Well, let's just see if we can go a little bit higher, see what the market's doing. Well, I can tell you what the market's going to do.
Right.
You know, you're not going to go overpay for a car, and
That's right.
neither is a home buyer going to go overpay for a home. And with, you know, the times that we're living now with the access that, you know, so much online, they know a lot. They see the homes. And so you've got to have that price right, because otherwise you put it on the market too high, the buyers don't buy, and then it goes stagnant.
Right.
And then it's like you have a stigma against it, and the people are like, well, something must be wrong with it. So it's never a good thing to overprice a home.
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask you too, is how do you feel about, and if I were a home buyer and I'm looking, for instance, on Realtor.com or Zillow or one of the platforms, and I see that a house has just been reduced, and it's relative whether it's $10,000 or $50,000 to the sales price. I get that, but do you have maybe a strategy for if a selling agent calls you on your listing and says, "Hey, I noticed you just reduced this. Was there a reason, or has it been on the market?" I mean, you can tell how many days it's been on Zillow or how long it's been on that platform. Does that matter? Do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm like kind of chuckling, because I'm like, can't tell you all my strategies, but there's a lot of strategies to marketing.
Right.
And depending on the market, how you do the strategies.
Right.
But when a home is reduced, there's a lot of different reasons that can take place. It's not necessarily anything that was priced wrong with the home, not necessarily anything wrong with the home. It may be something happened in the seller's life that was life-changing, and now they need to move it quick. And so that can be the factor.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is overpriced to begin with, and sometimes there is something wrong with the home, and they may have had a contract, and the home inspection uncovered something, and the buyer backed out, so it went back on the market, and he comes back on, you know, less. So there's so many different reasons, but I always just pick up the phone and ask the agent, because most of the time we don't have a problem, you know, disclosing what the real reason was, because there's so many different factors that can go into play.
There are. Do you ask your showing agents again on your listing for feedback necessarily?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, give me the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
Right.
Because I need to be able to reiterate that, or I need to let the sellers know what's going on. They want to know.
Yeah.
You know, every time there's a showing, a seller's excited because they think this is the one.
Yeah, exactly.
They get the house ready. They spend all evening cleaning, having everything perfect. They want to know. So agents need to be very respectful of that, and just even if it's just a short little text, and we're not great about that.
Yeah.
And I fall short of that sometimes, but it's very important to give feedback.
Yeah.
And like I said, and the more honest the feedback is, the better it is for everyone.
It's useful, right?
It's very useful.
Let me ask you this on the flip side of that, and this is a totally random question. If you're showing a house, you have a buyer, and you're walking through a house, are there any things you specifically are looking for quietly that you may or may not point out at the moment, but you're looking at while the buyer's looking? Or do you let them go on, do their thing, and then talk about it? How do you do that? What's your approach?
Honestly, I try to get there a little earlier, and the first thing I'm going to do is walk around the exterior of the home.
Right.
I always say, I've been in it long enough, I can tear a home down or I can build it up.
Right.
So I'm just looking for, when I first get there, the roof, structural, rotten wood, cracks, you know, just things like that stick out. I don't just bombard the clients with the information that I see. I'm just taking it all in to see what I'm really seeing. So do I really want to sell this home to this person? Is it going to be a good buy for them? As you know, our price needs to reflect the condition of the home, because it may be that I don't think so. I may not buy it, but my buyers really want it. Well, then we need to get the price right. So age of the HVAC. When I get inside the home, I'm looking for structural or ceiling cracks. There, you know, at the end of the day, the buyers need to have a home inspection. That's the inspector's job.
That was my next question to ask you. Do you prepare them for that?
Absolutely. And
because
I think
we all know they're looking for something wrong. That's the whole idea. And so
it is so vital
Right.
to coach the buyers and the sellers
True.
for a home inspection.
Right.
You know, they have the right to have it. They need to know what they're buying.
That's all right.
And even when I'm listening to homes, I'm like, you tell what you know about the home. You know, if there's something wrong, it's okay. Tell
Yeah.
it. We're going to get over it. We're going
Right.
to fix it. We're going to negotiate it, something, but don't hide it.
We need to know about it.
We need to know about
Right,
it. I mean,
right.
this is the biggest purchase we make in our
Absolutely.
lives. So let's be transparent and make a good deal. So I'm all about inspection. I think it's very important that the seller knows that it's coming. They're going to have something, because I have had brand new home. I'm talking new constructions,
Right.
home inspections, and we always find something.
Really?
Yes, it's
That's
just
amazing.
yeah. And so an older home is going to have a lot, but the thing is to coach them not to be overwhelmed.
Right. Right.
If you've got a good agent like myself, you're going to be able to negotiate and get them
Right,
through it
right.
most of the time.
Yeah.
I have been in this business 19 years, and I've had 2 deals fall through. And my actually, I had the buyer, and the inspector said, Karen, and my buyers wanted that house so
Right,
bad, and he
right.
said, do not let them buy this house.
Really?
No, he said, don't. It's got foundational issues. It's
wow.
going to be a money pit.
Right.
And my buyers wanted it, and I talked them out of it.
Wow.
Found them another home, better home, but
Wow.
they needed to know that had they not had the home inspection, they would have bought it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go underneath the house. I'll get
Yeah.
in the attic, but I'm not going to climb underneath in the crawl space for sure. And so that's where the problem lied.
And you make a good point there, because I've had buyers ask me before is, I'm going to get an appraisal. Why do I need a home inspection? But you and I both know that the appraiser is not going to do
They're not
near
even
what
the
a home.
same. They're not even
they're
the
two
same.
separate things altogether.
Totally.
And they're not going to check the temperature of the stove
No.
and look for the ground fault outlets and all that business that we see common.
And the other thing people need to understand with a home inspection, they're not a specialist
That's
in
true.
foundation.
That's
They're
true.
not an electrician. They're not a plumber. They're just bringing to light things you might need to check
Exactly.
by a professional.
Exactly.
And so you can't get overwhelmed by that, because so
Right.
many times an inspector says something, maybe that like to the effect that there's a massive water leak or whatever, and
Right.
it's just something very minute. He doesn't
Right.
know, but he saw the effects of a problem.
Exactly.
And so that's all their job is to do.
That's all we're doing, right?
That's it.
Trying to hit that off.
Just bringing it to light.
We're going to switch gears and go to USDA loans, one of my favorite subjects.
Mine too.
You do a lot of them.
I do a lot of them. I do. I've been primarily in Mississippi and Fayette County
Right.
and Tipton County. I've been doing USDA. Those are my favorite loans. So I don't think I
Absolutely.
mentioned it. I've practiced real estate 19 years in Mississippi, 6 years in Tennessee.
Right,
So when
okay.
I came here, I was just shocked that
Yeah.
everyone didn't do USDA, because probably 80% of my loans in Mississippi were USDA.
Yeah.
And they're just great for, I always say, the lower or mid-income people. I think it's a great product.
It is.
for people.
And just to kind of set the stage on that, USDA loan is one of the few true 100% financing loans. And plus, the seller can pay up to 6% of the closing costs
Right.
for the buyer. And you can literally get your earnest money back on a USDA
I always
mortgage.
tell my clients, you tell your lender if you want your earnest money back or you want to go toward your purchase
Exactly.
price. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, because it's
Exactly.
100% rolled in, and your interest, I think we've talked about this before,
Right.
in the negotiation.
Right.
A lot of times, like with the FHAs or other loans, I have to negotiate that closing cost on the contract.
Right.
And a lot of sellers get it, but some sellers are like, I am not paying a buyer's closing costs. It's just a mental mentality is what it is. They just don't understand.
Exactly.
Or just haven't been explained.
Exactly.
And so with that being said, with the rural development, we don't even have to go there. We just negotiate the house, and then you take care of the rest on the loan and rolling the closing costs in,
So, two other factors on the USDA loans is they are income limits. There are income limits, but a
Right.
family of two, husband and wife, I think don't quote me on this now, but I'm pretty sure it's about 109 or 118. combined income, and then of course it has to be in a not necessarily in a rural area. It can't be in an incorporated area.
Right.
And so you mentioned that you did a bunch in Mississippi, and maybe you can talk about some of the areas that you've done USDA loans in. Shelby County, probably very limited, but
Very
Fayette County,
little.
Tipton County, and
Right. In Mississippi, it's DeSoto, Marshall, Benton, Tippah,
Right.
Pontotoc, Lee County,
Right.
Union County. Those were my primary
Right.
areas. Here, Fayette County and
Right.
Tipton County.
I tell people that basically, if you get outside the 385 or 269, you're eligible.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting
And
it.
that's about, it might not
Yeah.
be exact, but the way I do it, Karen, and even I have some agents do this for me, I just tell people, send me the address. And I can plug it in there, and I can tell
Right.
you in about 10 seconds whether that property's eligible
done that
or
for
not.
me.
Yeah, and so USDA does provide an avenue for us to check on a specific property, because some people say, is there a map? There's not a map per se, but once you put an address in, you can get an idea of the general area and it'll tell you this property is eligible, this property's not eligible.
Right.
So let me ask you this: as an agent, have you seen that USDA loans take necessarily any longer than an FHA or a conventional loan?
You know, I don't here. And we've talked about this before. It's almost like there's a stigma around USDA. I'm not really sure why.
Right.
Because I would hear that comment where it takes longer. No, it doesn't. I've knocked them out in 30 days just like any other loan. I've never seen them take longer. I mean, in certain situations, but
Right.
very rarely.
Right, right.
I think that, and when I have a buyer that's looking in the rural area, I always say, just check and make sure we can go rural development, or check and see if you can go rural development before you try any other loan.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're talking 100% finance, 30-year fixed rate, great rates. I mean, I think
They're awesome.
I think it's an amazing loan. If you
I'm
can
gonna-
qualify for it, you need to go for it.
I got a pop quiz question for
Oh,
you.
okay,
Did
okay.
you know the minimum credit score for a USDA loan?
640 if it hasn't
640
changed.
it is. And
And it's
you
been
know,
there forever.
It,
It's been there forever.
it doesn't take
Yeah.
much to have a 640 credit
No,
score.
just
They
pay
are,
your bills.
I can't think of one negative about them. I'm telling you, I
Nothing.
just love doing them. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer, and 640 credit score. They again, to just repeat myself, they are income limited and
Right.
they are area limited. But you know, with people working from home, with homeschooling and choice schools and all that business, people don't mind living maybe a little outside the city
Right.
anymore. You don't have to be in the woods
Right.
necessarily. You just can't be in an incorporated area.
Exactly.
So I
It's
wanted
worth
to
a try for sure.
yeah, yeah. So, but the last question I got for you today is, if you are working with a buyer, we're going to go back to buyers again.
Okay.
If someone reaches out to you and they say, "Hey, Karen, I'm a first-time home buyer. And I really don't know where to start," and most people know what area they want to be in, and they'll tell me at least, "Hey, I want my payment to be X." Do you get those kind of questions from first-time home
All
buyers
the
or home
time.
buyers?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And at that point, do you steer them to a lender pretty much and say, "This guy's going to have all the answers for you," or?
What I typically do is ask them, have they been pre-approved? That's
Yeah.
going to always be my first
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
And if they have not, yes, I'm going to encourage them to seek a lender and give them options and get pre-approved first.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the buyers, it's an eye-opening experience
Right.
once they really sit down and you give them the
Right.
facts
Mm-hmm.
on the how it works with the escrow and the
Right.
insurance and their interest rates, and they kind of have a reality check there, and then they understand where their price point is
Right.
and where they can purchase. Then when they
Right.
come to me, then I'm going to explain to them when I know what their buying power is.
Right.
Then I'm going to explain to them,
Right.
because if you want in the city, it's going to be a lot more expensive. But
That's
I
a good
will
point.
try to explain to them, I can get you on the outskirts, and then you're going to qualify for USDA. Things are going to be a little bit, you can afford a little bit more in different areas.
Right.
And a lot of times they just don't understand. First time home buyers, it's like literally teaching a baby to walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the lights start clicking, and you just really have to walk them right through it. And
Right.
I love that,
Right.
because it's all new to them, and it's it's foreign, but they get excited once they see
Yeah.
what they're going to get. But the first time home buyers are probably the most time consuming, just because they don't know, and the old
Right.
saying, you don't know what you don't
Exactly.
know. So it's just the beginning process is a little bit more. So we
Would you
can
believe
figure
that
out.
I still have people think that you have to put 20% down to get a mortgage loan? I had a lady
Really?
ask me a month ago that, hey, we don't have the 20% down yet. Well, you don't
wow.
need 20% down. And
Right.
she was like, you're kidding me. And it's amazing in this day of Googling anything, AI.
Yeah.
Everything's in the forefront. There are still people out there that think you need 20% down.
Right.
Buy
You
it.
don't.
No. absolutely
USDA,
not.
100% finance. You don't need anything
That's a fact.
but a 640 credit score.
Hey, Karen, tell people how to get a hold of you. If I want to reach out to Karen Taylor, what do I got to do?
You can call me at 662-837-0452 or email me, isellforyou05@yahoo.com.
Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.